The moment the boys shoved the plate toward her, Aisha Morgan knew the lunch rush had turned into something darker. "Eat it. Come on, show them what a real black girl eats," one of the white teens said, holding his phone up as customers glanced over, unsure whether to intervene. Aisha kept her chin lifted, though the tightness in her throat betrayed her fear. She had come to this upscale Sacramento restaurant to celebrate finishing an AP exam, but suddenly she was the entertainment. They boxed her in at the booth, their laughter rising above the clatter of dishes. The phone camera hovered inches from her face, catching every flicker of discomfort. Aisha tried to push the plate away, only for another boy to shove it back, whispering loud enough for the room to hear, "Smile for the video. People love this stuff." Her heart hammered. She wasn't weak, and she wasn't naive. But humiliation, when filmed and shared, became something you could never outrun. And that was what scared her most. She drew a breath, steadying herself with a restraint that made the boys lean in, waiting for her to crack. Instead, Aisha stared at them and said quietly, "Why do you need a camera to feel powerful?" For the first time, their smirks faltered. A fork clattered from a nearby table. Footsteps approached. And the whole room seemed to hold its breath. Aisha tried to slide out of the booth, but one boy blocked the exit with his leg, the other two chanting, "Eat, eat," like it was a schoolyard dare. The restaurant buzzed on, but the air around her felt suffocating. She could feel the weight of every onlooker pretending not to see, pretending it wasn't their problem. A tiny detail shattered her composure: the silver bracelet on her wrist, her late mother's bracelet, was snagged by the boy's sleeve as he leaned in to shove the plate closer. It slipped off and hit the floor with a soft, heartbreaking ping. Aisha froze. The sound was barely audible, yet it pierced her more sharply than any insult. She reached down instinctively, but the boy stepped on it, pinning it to the tile. "Oops," he said, grinning. Something inside her cracked, not with rage, but with a deep ache that made her eyes burn. A waiter hovered a few tables away, torn. A couple whispered, watching the boys, but no one moved. Aisha felt the loneliness of the moment like a cold draft creeping under her skin. What would you do if this happened to you, she thought bitterly, imagining the viewers who might soon see her face online, misinterpreted, mocked, pinned to a moment she never asked for. She reached for the bracelet again, her voice trembling but controlled. "Move your foot." "Nah," the boy said, lifting his phone higher. "Say it nicer. Maybe we'll think about it." Their laughter echoed through the restaurant. Aisha looked around, not for help, but for a way out. And that's when she saw her aunt walking in from the back hallway, a stack of menus in her hand and fire already burning in her eyes. Her aunt, Ms. Renee Carter, the restaurant's manager and a well-known civil rights attorney, took in the scene in a single, terrifying sweep. The boys didn't recognize her, not yet. One of them laughed louder, as if performing for a bigger audience. "Lady, mind your business. We're teaching her some manners." Renee's voice was calm, almost too calm. "Is that so?" The boys barely glanced at her. "Relax. It's just a joke. She knows her place." Aisha felt the room tilt. Those words, "know your place," were the final drop hitting an already full cup. She swallowed hard, bracing herself for the humiliation to deepen. But her aunt stepped forward, her presence shifting the entire energy of the room. "You recorded her without consent," Renee said. "You blocked her path. You stepped on her property. And you think this is a joke?" The boys scoffed, but the confidence in their eyes flickered. "Who are you supposed to be?" Renee set the menus down, leaned slightly, and said, "The woman who owns this entire restaurant, and the attorney who will be speaking to each of your parents in about 10 minutes. The camera lowered. Chairs scraped. One boy's face went completely pale. And the twist finally landed. Renee reached down and lifted the bracelet from the floor, brushing off the dust. She placed it gently back on Aisha's wrist. "You okay?" she asked. Aisha nodded, though emotion quivered in her breath. Turning to the boys, Renee said, "You will hand over your phones. You will delete every second of that video. And you will leave this restaurant immediately." Her tone made every table fall silent. One boy stammered, "We didn't mean." "You meant every second," Renee replied. "And now you face the consequences." They handed over their phones with trembling fingers. Renee escorted them toward the exit, but before they crossed the doorway, she delivered the final blow. "If you ever target another black child like this again, the next conversation won't be with your parents. It'll be with a judge." The door swung shut behind them. Aisha exhaled shakily, staring at her reflection in a silver tray on the table, still trembling, still standing. Justice didn't always roar. Sometimes it arrived calmly, in the voice of someone who refused to look away. And as the restaurant slowly returned to its rhythm, Aisha lifted her bracelet, feeling the lingering weight of the moment. It wasn't over. Moments like this never truly were. But today, she didn't walk out alone.